Amitabutsu, Namo Amitabutsu, Namandabutsu, 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 Namandabutsu.
Good morning and welcome to today's service, which will be chaired by the Schmidt family. Welcome back, Reverend Davenport. Okay, please put your hands together for silent meditation led by Reverend Davenport.
Please join me with palms together. Here is the Pure Land. The Pure Land is here. I smile in mindfulness and dwell in the present moment. The Buddha is seen in an autumn leaf. The Dharma is a floating cloud. The Sangha body is everywhere. My true home is right here. Namo Amitabutsu, Namo Amitabutsu, Namo Amitabutsu, Namandabutsu, Namandabutsu, Namandabutsu.
We will be chanting Juseige on. Oh wait. Please open your service books to page 35.
Gagoncho segan hishimu jodo shigan fu manzo seifu josho ga omuroko Fuidai Seshu Fusai Shobengu Seifujo Shoga Gashi Jobundo Myosho Chojipo Kukyo Mishomon Seifujo Shoga Ryokujin Shonen Joeshu Bongyo Shigu Mujodo Ishoten Ninshi Jinriki Endaiko Fusho Musaido Shoujo San Kumyo Kosai Shuyakunan Kaihichi Egen Meshi Kon Moan Heso Okusho Akudo Sudan Zen Shumon Koso Jo Manzo Ioro Jipo Nichigan Shujuki Tenko On Pugen Ishukai Hozo Kose Kudoku Ho Jo Dai Shuchu Seppo Shishiku Kuyo Isai Bu Gusoku Shutoku Hon Gane Shinjo Man Toku Isan Gaio Nyobun Mugechi Sudan Mi Fusho Ganga Kueri Toshi Sai Shoson Shigan Yakoka Daisen no Kando Koku Shotenin To Uchin Myoke Namanda Be Namanda Be Namanda Be Namanda Be Namanda Be Namanda Be Gani Shiku Doku Byodo Sei Sai Dohon Bodai Shin Ojo Namo Amir Butsu, Namo Amir Butsu, Namo Amir Butsu, Namo Amir Butsu, Namandabats, 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 Namandabats.
Thank you. Reverend Davenport will now give us the Dharma message.
Good morning, everyone. Please join me with palms together as I read the words of Shinran Shonin from the collected works of Shinran. When I consider deeply The vow of Amida, which arose from 5 kalpas of profound thought, I realize that it was entirely for the sake of me alone. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandabuts, Namandabuts, Namandabuts. Well, it's so great to see everyone again. I've been out of the loop for a while. I've had 3 weeks, or a whole month now, of hardly any sleep, but it's been great. Probably the only 2 times you're going to hear not a lot of sleep and great at the same time. Yeah, I just recently had a newborn. My baby just turned 1 month old yesterday. And it's been a great experience, I have to say. Very new. And that's what fuels a lot of my discussion today, which is about embracing impermanence. Because if you've ever had a child, if you haven't had one yet, there is a whole lot of impermanence happening all the time. So wonderful to see everyone today. And for those of you guys on Zoom or the live stream, today I want to explore this topic. And this topic is the word impermanence. It might sound like a really big word, but it simply means that everything is changing all the time. And if we look closely, we can see that change happening right now as you breathe in and you breathe out, as you feel your heart beating from moment to moment. You know, everyone here, from young to old, was once a baby. And you're growing. Some of us are adults. Some of us are still young children. Seasons change from warm to cool. You know, your favorite ice cream, especially now, will melt if you don't eat quickly enough. And even your feelings about your friends, your neighbors, and strangers may go from happiness to sadness to anger and back around again. And sometimes this change is very exciting. It's new, it's interesting, something you've never experienced before. Maybe a brand new friend that you just met at school for the first time. Maybe a birthday party that you just went to. A fun trip with your family. Even in my case, a brand new baby. But sometimes that change is hard and difficult. Sometimes we have to move away from somewhere we've grown up. We lose a pet. We may be missing someone we love. Or we might have to change another diaper. So how do you deal with all this change? Well, that brings us to my topic today. So my question of the day, which I'd like to give you something to think about during my talk, is how do you embrace impermanence? And how does Buddhism help us embrace that change? If you're too young, you probably have no idea what the phone on the right is, or yeah, my right. It's a rotary phone. It's really, really ancient technology. But I think this cartoon's really good. It says, the cell phone talking to the rotary phone says, "Tell me again what it was like in the olden day, Gramps." And then the rotary phone says, "Families would line up to talk to me. I never got lost or needed upgrading, and only had one ringtone with 2 simple settings, pick up and hang up." And if you're old enough to know what this phone is, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But this is a good idea of impermanence. You know, impermanence, especially with technology, is changing all the time. I remember when I grew up with a PC, and then I eventually had to migrate to Apple. I remember I'm on probably my 30th cell phone at this point in my life. I remember when cell phones first came out. So there's so much that's changing around us. It's not just our lives, it's the things in it as well. And so to talk about impermanence, I want to start off with a little story for Dharma School today. And that's the story of the farmer and the horse. Has anyone heard this before? Raise your hands. A couple people. Okay. Well, to give you this story, it says, there was once a long time ago, there was a farmer in a small village with a single horse who helped him earn a living for his family. The other villagers constantly told this farmer how lucky he was to have such a great, powerful horse to help him plow the fields. And the farmer would always reply, "Maybe." That's it. Well, one day the horse ran away, and the villagers came to this farmer and expressed all their sympathy, their heartfelt remorse over the agony of losing this horse. "Your horse ran away. How unfortunate," the villagers exclaimed. And the farmer replied, much to their surprise, "Maybe." Neither positive nor negative. A few days later, though, the horse returned. And when it returned, it wasn't alone. It brought with it 10 more strong horses. So this farmer went from 1 horse to no horse to 11 horses now. And the villagers came back around again and said, "What good fortune, what incredible luck." The villagers cried. And what do you think the farmer said? Anyone know? Maybe. This guy doesn't have a lot of responses. He just has one word. But the following week, even after having all of this, what we would say, good luck with these new horses, the farmer's son was out riding one of the wild horses in the fields. When it kicked him off, he fell to the ground and broke his leg. And so now there's this great pain and anguish. The villagers came back around again and expressed their dismay and their sadness for the farmer. And said, "What dismal luck," they said. "Your son now has a broken leg." And you know what the farmer said? Anyone guess? Maybe. And so you see this little pattern there. He just keeps saying maybe. He's not positive about the experience or negative about the experience. He's just open to what's happening. So the next month, a military officer marched into the village, recruiting all able-bodied men for the war. The farmer's son, with his broken leg, was left behind and was not recruited for the war. Every other villager of able body was. And at that moment, the villagers came back to the farmer again and said, "Your son was spared. What beautiful luck indeed it is to have a broken leg." And you know what the farmer said? Maybe. So no matter what happened, no matter how his luck might have changed from good to bad to good, the farmer expressed and embraced every moment, every change with the same thought, maybe. So what is this short story trying to teach us? It shows us that we don't always know what is good or bad right away. Something that feels sad today might lead to something helpful in our lives later. And something that feels exciting might turn out to be difficult within the snap of a finger. Life is always changing, and we are always in the middle of that change. So what does this teach us? It teaches us that everything's changing, and that's okay. Much like this sandcastle. He goes, "No, cruel world, why?" As the sandcastle is into the ocean. In Buddhism, change is called impermanence, that big word that I started with. And sometimes we struggle because we want things to stay the same. We want them to be permanent. We don't want them to change. We want fun times to last forever. We want people we love to always be with us. And we want to hold on tightly to what makes us happy and push away what doesn't. We want just a couple more hours of sleep. I would love a couple more hours personally. But life doesn't work that way. And here's something important to remember. Impermanence is not just something to be afraid of. It is also something that is very beautiful. Because when things change, we grow, we learn, we heal, and we begin again, over and over again. Even sadness changes. Even difficult moments don't last forever. A colleague of mine from OCBC always says that impermanence doesn't just happen to the good things in our life. It also happens to the bad things as well. Life's always going to change. For the good, for the bad, no matter what, it will change. And that's okay. When things feel broken, we might lament or feel remorse for those things that are now shattered. But if we think about things like kintsugi, we can take something that's broken and repair it with gold, making it more valuable and more meaningful than it was before. This is an ancient Japanese art form where they take broken pottery and repair it. They don't repair it to brand new by melting it down or trying to make something completely different. They just fill in the cracks and edges with gold and other bonding to make it more beautiful than it was before. Kintsugi is a way of fixing something that's broken, and instead of hiding the cracks, embellishing them, showing them off, revealing what was there and what is now there. The object isn't thrown away, it is not hidden, it is not repaired, it is just simply mended. In the same way, when our hearts feel broken, we are not ruined. Our experiences, our sadness, our grief, our memories, even our love become part of who we are now. We can make ourselves kinder, we can help others understand us, and we can grow, just like the cracks that shine in this pot. So what does this teach us? How can we do this in our daily lives? Well, just like this cartoon, everything changes when we have a new set of eyes. And so how do we embrace this impermanence? We begin by taking 4 simple steps. Number 1, we can notice things are changing. We can look around and see even the seasons, our day, even the temperature changes time after time, minute from minute. We can allow our feelings to happen, not suppress them, not push them away, but let them come up and not hold on to them. It's okay to feel happy, to feel sad, to feel angry. The most important thing is not to hold on to those feelings when they happen, but to let them go. We can stay curious. Like the farmer, we can say maybe to every situation, even if it looks good, if it looks bad, because there's no telling what the future can hold as things change. And lastly, we can remember the gold in our lives, the things that heal those cracks, that fuse our lives together and bring us back in awareness of everything that's happening. Even difficult moments and memories can be awesome opportunities to appreciate the things you do have or the things that are happening well. And even when we miss someone deeply, the love we feel for them does not disappear. That love continues on in us, in how we speak, how we act, and how we treat others. So in closing, the next time something changes in your life, try to remember, you are still growing. Your story is still unfolding. And even the hard moments can become part of something beautiful if you let them. Impermanence is not the end. It is what makes every moment precious. Please join me in Gassho as I recite the words of Shinran Shonin. When I consider deeply the vow of Amida, which arose from 5 kalpas of profound thought, I realize that it was entirely for the sake of me alone. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandabutsu, Namandabutsu.
Thank you, Reverend Davenport, for your Dharma message on embracing impermanence. Now, please rise for the Gatha Buddha Loves You on page 106 of our service book.
the chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amito's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namae Rabatu. Namae Rabatu. Namae Rabatu. Okay. You may be seated. Okay. Are there any announcements? Wait. Yeah, are there any announcements?
Good morning, everyone. Two reminders. So one is on April 5th. I think you marked your calendars, hopefully, that the Vista Buddhist Temple Sangha is coming to visit our service here. So hope you'll all be here on April 5th for our regular service, but it will include the Vista Sangha. And there will be a potluck lunch afterwards. Dharma School will provide the main dish. So if you would like to provide a salad, side dish, or dessert, that would be great. And then the other announcement is about the our Dharma School field trip to the Orange County Buddhist Church, and that is going to be on April 26th. So we plan on arranging carpools from here. Their service is at 10 a.m. And the special event is actually this Yasu Ishida, magician and story artist, and he will be speaking during the service as well as doing an activity after for the Dharma School. So we'll stay for that. And it's a unique show showcasing Japanese theater, music, origami, storytelling, and magic, with a special guest appearance by Freddie the Frog. So I hope that Dharma School and families and even other Sangha members who would like to attend are welcome to attend. Of course, we will also have a service here for those who will be here in San Diego. So we have a sign-up sheet that we'll be posting today for interested families or members or Dharma friends. And we're also want to know who's interested, who's able to carpool, who would like to carpool, and we're considering a Tanaka Farms visit afterwards. Tanaka Farms is in Irvine, so not too far away from Orange County Buddhist Church, where they do strawberry picking, and we'll get a little farm tour. So that'll be on the sign-up sheet for interested, and if you're a maybe, also put down maybe. That's fine too. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Reverend Sharon. I'm Bill, and I wanted to let you know that the Shukatsu seminars about end-of-life planning are resuming. Our first one is coming up very soon, and parenthetically, you should be impressed by the amount of expertise we have among our Sangha. Some of you saw just a small part of this when we had the yoga seminar. And two of our presenters were from our own Sangha, Wendy Miyashiro and Sylvia Kawahara. Both gave wonderful expertise, sharing their expertise in the areas of acupuncture and clinical meditation. So that was pretty awesome. But this coming Saturday at 3 p.m., we also will be hearing from our Sangha member, Robert Schultz, and some of you may know Bob actually has decades of experience as a financial planner. So end of planning, he'll be looking at the financial topics of wills, trusts, and other related issues to share with you. That will be this coming Saturday, 3 p.m. in the Annex Hall. We just ask that you use the sign-up sheet in the office or just call and email the temple to let us know you'll be coming. Thank you very much.
Okay. Back in April, there is going to be, let me see what observance. Oh, yeah. It's Hanamatsuri. So the Dharma School is accepting monetary donations to purchase flowers. And you can bring flowers on April 11th when we decorate the Hanamido at 1 o'clock on Saturday. And then the flowers will be here. And then Ralph will talk about more on Sunday, April 12th. Okay? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Margot. I'm representing the BWA. April 5th, we're having our makizushi ordering. So I have this graphically designed order sheet. If you would just sign up and let me know how many rolls of makizushi you would like. The BWA members will be making it, and it's $10 a roll. So please sign up. The sign-up sheet will be in the office, and we'll be handing them out. Gosh, that's 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, April 5th. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Nice to see so many of you here today. On Sunday, April 12th is our Hanamatsuri service. Hanamatsuri is the commemoration of the birth of the historical Buddha Shakyamuni. And that service begins at 10 a.m. Following the service, we'll be having our annual luncheon and bingo fundraiser. This year's fundraiser will be a hot dog fundraiser. So we'll be having hot dogs, chili rice, salads, you name it. It'll be on the menu, and then plus 5 games of bingo. There's a donation is $13 for 13 years old and up, and $7 for 12 and under. There's a sign-up sheet downstairs in the office, and then for those, you can also click on the QR code to sign up and to make your reservations as well. So the deadline to order is on, put in your reservation will be April 5th. And then, also that day, I think Dharma School, they're going to be doing a bake sale. Is that right? Yeah, bake sale. So a lot of sweet treats for to purchase from Dharma School that day. And also the JCC, the Japanese Coordinating Council of San Diego, will be having their annual Kato Kai, the Senior Appreciation Day, on Sunday, April 26th, here at the temple. And invitations have been emailed to most of our Sangha members 80 years and over to consider signing up for the event. And if you're interested, please call the temple to make your reservation for the Kato Kai. There will be a nice bento lunch and entertainment. So 80 years and over are complimentary, and then those under 80, the cost will be $28 per person. So you could sign up, and there's a sign-up sheet downstairs in the office. And, of course, if you'd like to sign up through the QR code, you may do so as well. Thank you.
Just want to say thank you for your generous donations to the Interfaith Neighbor Helping Neighbor food drive that benefited the San Diego Food Bank. We had generous donations this year, and as well as some donations for, I think it's called Sharia's Closet, who provides diapers and other items for people in need with babies. So I'll provide probably in the Buseige script some numbers when they're available from the San Diego Food Bank, but we did really well. Really appreciate your generous donations.
Good morning. I think I'm the last announcement, so, which is good. You heard a lot of announcements about things going on in April, and I saw all of you pulling out your planners and writing all of those things down. Don't worry, the flyers are down in the office, just like they mentioned. But before all of those fun events happen in April, there's one more event in March. So next Sunday, March 29th, will be our last Sunday service in March, and that is our annual Scout Sunday service. So I do see that a couple of our scouts are here. So just a reminder that the scouts will be, who are members of our Sangha, will be chairing that service that day. So the scouts, please come back up to the Hondo after Dharma school for a quick rehearsal. It's mostly for the flag ceremony and other things that we'll be doing. Okay, and if you have family members who are scouts or were scouters, please bring them to the service. So we do recognize those of you who were scouts when you were youth too. So next Sunday, Scout Sunday. Thanks.
Just one more announcement, sorry. Okay, so I'm Penelope from the Song Teens, and we're having a book drive fundraiser. So all of the proceeds are going to go to the Song Teens. We're basically collecting all of the donations that you guys give us, which are books of like any kind, so like, well, any books, CDs, vinyls, or cassettes, DVDs or Blu-rays, video games or game consoles, and we collect them, and there's a box downstairs in the hall, I think, and you just like put in any of the things that I just listed, and then we'll take it to Book Off, and then we basically get money for them, and then all of that money will go to activities for the Sangha teens. We're accepting donations from March 15th to May 3rd. And if you have any questions, you can ask a Sangha teens member. Okay. Stay up here. Okay. And then we would like to thank these people for their assistance with today's service. Reverend Davenport for officiating this morning's service and your Dharma message. The certified minister's assistants for setting up the Onaijin and getting it ready for our service. CMA CMA Arturo Rubio for ringing the Kansho. Mr. Yamamoto for providing musical accompaniment for us. And the tech team for live streaming the service, and for everybody who attended today's service. The Dharma school students are now excused to offer incense and go to their Dharma school class.
We will now start the adult portion of the service with a Vandana Tea Sarana on page 96, led by Reverend Davenport. We will recite it together.
Please join me from the beginning where it says the leader line. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie Ho. Namo Kie So. Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandabutsu. Namandabutsu. Namandabutsu.
Reverend Davenport will now give the adult Dharma message.
Please join me again in Gasho with palms together as I read the words of Shinran Shonin from the collected works of Shinran. When I consider deeply the vow of Amida, which arose from 5 kalpas of profound thought, I realize that it was entirely for the sake of me alone. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namandabutsu. Namandabutsu. Good to see everyone again. So I wanted to dedicate a lot of this talk today to my wife, who had she not pulled the midnight shift last night for the baby, I probably wouldn't be functioning right now. Also, you probably can't tell, but I'm wearing a green tie because St. Patrick's Day was, last week, which is also my wedding anniversary. So happy anniversary to my wife. But, impermanence is such an interesting thing because we do talk about it a lot. It happens everywhere and all the time. I'm learning that every single day when I wake up with a newborn, I think, oh, we're going to do exactly what we did yesterday. And 2 minutes in, I'm like, nope, that is not working. We're going to do something new. And so impermanence is something that happens, very obviously when you're working with a newborn, but it also happens a little bit less obviously every day of our lives. And as adults, we no longer encounter impermanence as a simple idea or something that's new. We encounter it through lived experience, through aging, through loss, through uncertainty, and change that we cannot control. We know intellectually that everything changes, But the real challenge is not understanding impermanence as a thing, but is accepting it and accepting it working on us. However, many of us, including myself, still continue to try and resist. I still try and find myself going back to old strategies or old ideas. We might try to hold on to relationships that were once there. We cling to identities that may no longer fit. I remember having to get rid of lots of clothes in my closet that do not work past your 20s. We replay moments in our minds, wishing they had gone differently, things we could change retroactively instead of experiencing the present moment. We even try to lock ourselves in routines only to have them upended within minutes, hours, and even days. And in doing so, this is where our suffering comes from. Not because of impermanence itself, but because we wish it doesn't happen. We cling to the idea that it can always go back to what it once was. So impermanence makes us get very comfortable with the idea that we aren't in control. This really famous quote from John Lennon that I love to talk about, and that is, "Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans." And I love this cartoon because I'm doing this every 2 hours. I wake up and try and figure out where I just put something. It's got a pie chart, and it says, "My life broken down into segments." Good chunk of it is sleeping. That's very small for me right now. Working, eating, and then the biggest piece is looking for things I had just a minute ago. And I'm doing this every day, throughout the day. I'm like, where did I just put that? And so our lives are filled full of change, filled full of impermanence. Everything we love is subject to change. Every achievement we make fades away. Even this body we depend on is constantly shifting, aging, and moving toward its end. You know, at this point in my life, I am no longer vertically growing, I'm horizontally growing. So, you know, life is full of change, whether or not we want it to be that way. In my own personal life, so much has changed and continues to change. You know, I have a newborn who continually reminds me that what worked a couple seconds ago is no longer working. I'm also currently brave enough to go through a home remodel at the exact same time. So parts of my house that were there are no longer there. And I keep learning firsthand that although I am a parent and technically in charge, this child is really calling all the shots, balls, and fouls. So, you know, there's a lot of impermanence happening, a lot of role reversal, and it's very overwhelming, even frightening at times, especially when you have a child with no instruction manual, and the one they do give you isn't complete. And yet, within the Buddhist teachings, this very truth is not a cause for despair. We don't give up hope. We don't look at it nihilistically. Instead, it's a doorway that we can walk through and explore our lives through. Because if nothing is fixed, then everything is stuck. So there's always the possibility of transformation. And that's what the gift of impermanence really is. And so to relate this to something I read recently, there's this idea called liminating, okay? Not eliminating, but liminating. And it's one way to live out this truth of impermanence. We can think of it as like a pop culture reference, and it doesn't deny that things are difficult. In fact, eliminating reminds us that things are difficult. They're uncomfortable. They make us unhappy even if we are already unhappy or we are happy. But it's also there to give us real optimism. It's a middle way, a clear path, grounded and creative. Where in the family talk, I talked about kintsugi, which is replacing something that's broken by fusing it together with gold and repairing it to make it more beautiful than it is. You can think of liminating as the process of making that repair. When grief arises, we acknowledge it. When plans fall apart, we adapt. When life gives us something we did not choose, we respond with intention and purpose. And when life gives us a dirty diaper, we change it as fast as possible. So this is not a passive acceptance. This isn't just living your life and not recognizing what's happening. Instead, it's a way of actively engaging with impermanence. It's simply a modern psychological term for what Buddhism has long emphasized. This is a quote from the Dhammapada, and it says that all that we are is the result of what we have thought. If one speaks or acts with a pure thought, happiness follows like a shadow that never leaves. Our thoughts shape how we see change and impermanence in our lives. And these thoughts matter. The first thoughts that we have, in fact, can influence how we experience these changes to begin with. Therefore, if we see change as a loss, it will be tragic because we'll be trying to hold on to memories of what once was instead of what is currently happening. Similarly, if we also see life through the possibility of change for the new, for the different, for the opportunity, then we have a much different way of embracing that change. Another way you can think of it is opportunity mindset. It's not a change for the worse, it's an opportunity to experience the present. My wife picked out this cartoon. She's great at doing this. And the cartoon says, sometimes you have to look inside yourself to know what you need. And inside the bottle it says help. People often refer to eliminating and this idea of embracing impermanence as the opportunity mindset. It is not about blind optimism or toxic positivity. Instead, it's seeing things as they truly are. Life gives us lemons. It doesn't always give us oranges. But with those lemons, we can do something. We can experience something new. And so through teachings like the Eightfold Path, we can remember things like right effort, putting our best effort into the situation, right view, looking for things as they are, and right intention, using that knowledge with purpose and intent. In Buddhist terms, we commit to being a beginner in every moment. We stop clinging to the idea that we have figured everything out. We set an example for ourselves and others by refusing to face these changes with fear. Instead, we approach them with curiosity, flexibility, and compassion. And in this mindset, it's more than just an idea. You know, science shows us, if you read a lot of surveys, that people who embrace change are more resilient, experience less overwhelm, are more creative, and find more joy. They allow themselves to feel sad when they are, but they don't get stuck in that sadness. They also embrace the positivity and the happiness that comes later. So how can we do this in our lives? What's something practical we can do every day? Well, one, we can acknowledge our feelings, and then we can reframe them. You know, if you're sad, feel sad. If you're angry, feel angry. If you're frustrated, feel frustrated. There's nothing wrong with feeling feelings. The problem is when we try to cling on to them or try and resist them. That's where our true suffering begins. And once we're done experiencing those feelings, ask yourself, what else might be true in this moment? And what else is going well? A lot of times something bad might have happened, but if you think about it, something good is also happening. You might be late to work, but you might have gotten there safely. Things to think about. Another thing you can do is practice mantras or self-coaching. You know, a simple phrase like, I don't know what I'm doing, and that's okay, is a very empowering phrase. It lets you know that you're not in control, but that's okay. Everything is going to work out the way it will. Another thing you can do is shake up your routine. Try a new route to work. Try a new book, a new idea, and a new experience. Be open to something different, not what is just comfortable and repetitive. Number 4, focus on what is in front of you. A lot of times we worry about things down the line. Like, I'm already worrying about college fund for my kid. And I'm like, that is so far down the line. I cannot worry about that. I have to worry about surviving the next 2 hours. So ask yourself, am I being productive in the moment? Where's their joy right now? Don't worry about what happens later in the day. That will happen when it does. And if you have to plan, there's nothing wrong with it. But don't get lost in the planning phase and not on the experiencing life phase. And lastly, something we can definitely learn from is to make community. You know, in our community, our Sangha, it is essential that we have it. We learn from those around us. We learn how Buddhism acts in other people's lives. And we can experience what Buddhism's like as a community, as a culture, our friends, our family, and even strangers. So connecting this to Shinran, Shinran shares that the reality of suffering is all around us, and it's caused from our willingness to cling, not from our willingness to perceive. You know, if you think things are bad now, to give you some perspective, when Shinran Shonin was alive, there was a war, famine, and social instability. He didn't grow up in a monastery where everything was sunshine and rainbows outside the doors. He grew up in a time of great upheaval. And through this, he found the teachings of Amida. He didn't offer a path of perfection or control. Instead, he embraced the chaos. He embraced the change, and he recognized that humans have limitations. He described himself as a foolish being full of blind passions, something I can definitely relate to, and I'm sure many of you can as well. And by embracing this, we can face impermanence and not feel like we're failing. Instead, we can embrace it and feel like we are experiencing true moments of opportunity. We are reminded not to master impermanence through willpower. Instead, we are taught through Shinran that we are embraced within that impermanence. We are embraced by the boundless compassion of Amida Buddha. This is what it's meant when we say other power. Not that we fixed everything ourselves, but that we are not alone when things are broken and when things are going well. So when I think about the question, how do we embrace impermanence? I think we can do that by acknowledging reality without resistance. Engage creatively with change, eliminating. Allow grief to happen without shame. Support one another in our community, and trust that transformation is possible on the other side. And perhaps most importantly, we listen. In the Jodo Shinshu tradition, we listen to the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, not as something we achieve, but as something we hear. A reminder that we are embraced just as we are in the midst of change and chaos. And so in closing, impermanence means two things. Nothing can be held forever, but everything can be deeply appreciated. Because life changes, it matters. Because moments pass, they are precious. And because we lose, we learn to love more fully. In the farmers, maybe, in the gold of kintsugi, in the practice of eliminating, and the compassion of Amida Buddha, we are reminded that impermanence is not the enemy. It is the condition that makes awakening possible. And with that, I want to close with this cartoon. I'm a math person. I teach math, so I think math is great. It says, I got 75% of the answers correct, which, if you don't remember school, is a C. Solid C. Not a C plus, not a C minus, a C. And in today's society, doing something 75% right is outstanding. If government and industry were 75 competent, we'd be ecstatic. And what I take from this is, you know, it's okay to be normal. We don't have to be exceptional in everything. It's okay to be a C student. Don't get hung up on being perfect all the time. Otherwise, you'll never live up to that standard. And with that, I want to close with this last quote. It isn't what you have or who you are, or what you are doing that makes you happy or unhappy. It is what you think about it. And if you don't know who Dale Carnegie is, he's the one that says, making friends and powerful family. He writes a lot of self-help books. But I think this captures a lot of what I'm sharing today about embracing impermanence by changing our ability to perceive it differently. Not as something scary, but as something new and worth experiencing. Please join me in Gassho, where I share the words of Shinran Shonin one last time. When I consider deeply the vow of Amida, which arose from 5 kalpas of profound thought, I realize that it was entirely for the sake of me alone. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandabutsu, Namandabutsu.
Thank you, Reverend Davenport, for your message. Lots to think about. Please stand if you're able to for the singing of Ondokusan 2 on page 128.
Please put your hands together. Namo Dabatsu. Namo Dabatsu. Namo Dabatsu. Please be seated and put your hands together for closing music meditation. Wait, no. Am I doing this? If one walks looking forehead and pays no attention to the ground beneath his eyes, he will stumble. If one gaze is critically upon others and forgets to look into himself, he will bring tragedy upon himself. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. We would like to thank you for attending today's service, and you may now offer incense.
I know it wasn't mentioned during the service, but if this is your first time here and you have questions, please feel welcome to come up and speak to Sensei after everyone has offered incense.